So you decided to be truly authentic, but this is just the beginning. And it's a sour beginning. You don't know what's in store from just a single decision that you made. So let's talk about it. I'll be doing this one without a script because the topic of authenticity is one that is very personal to me and one that I think is very important in today's society. Authenticity. Normally, it is seen as a virtue, and it is. But I think the problem is most of us, we are not willing to do what it takes to be authentic. And this is not an attack on anybody, because the reality is that being truly authentic, it has cons, and I would say at the beginning, it's pretty much cons. In the sense that when you want to claim your individuality, it typically comes at the cost of you challenging people's realities. And I see that in my personal life because, and I will, of course, in this video, you'll see a lot of footage of me, for the most part, doing my own thing, which is music. And, you know, backstage of visuals that I've done. Because my current age, for instance, I'm 34 years old, and music has been a part of my life for most of my life, you know, since I have memory. But the problem is that once you get to my age, it is very difficult to get people in your corner and for people to support you the way they used to before. Mostly because now everybody kind of started their own lives, and you wanting to do something creative is not necessarily part of the status quo. I have recently done some traveling, both outside of the US and on the road here in the US. I did a trip from Florida, from Miami where I am, to Baltimore. I stopped in North Carolina, and you know that trip, it gave me some time to think about where I was in my life and the decisions that I had made up until that point. Again, you know, as a 34-year-old who, you know, I've had jobs that didn't have anything to do with music, and that from the outside looking in were successes. Now, success, it's definitely something that can provide a sense of satisfaction because you're covering, as I said, those material expectations, and you're paying your bills, and you're paying your rent, and you're paying all your utilities and all of these different things, and you have a roof over your head. But while I think society has done a great job at minimizing the pain of living by telling you, hey, you want to have a 9 to 5 and you're going to be able to pay your bills, and you have a career, and you go to university, and you do this, I think there is still a part of ourselves that needs nurture. And it's typically something that we want to do that requires self-actualization and overcoming that first portion of our lives that is covered, which is the one that I just explained. And I think that when we see people that have everything and they're still miserable, I wonder how many of them where success is from the outside looking in at the cost of their true authentic self. And that's something that I don't recommend anybody to experience. Very recently, I was at a music studio, the first studio that I ever recorded at, and this is back in 2016. And it was a great session. It was a great time. The recording engineer and the assistant recording engineer were great people. So one of the things that happened during that visit was that I met the assistant engineer, and he told me that he wanted to make music, and he was 22 years old. And one of the things that I remember telling him, even though I didn't want to be all preachy, or I didn't want to son anybody, because it was not really the point, I did want to provide a sense of my own experience coming from somebody that did not use a lot of my time properly when I was younger. And when I was that age, I didn't take my singing and music production as seriously as I should have, because I probably used most of that time to socialize, which again, it's just part of daily life and it's part of living, and some people would say that was a lesson learned. But I do think that I could have used that time a little bit more effectively. And so I did tell him to please use his time for the things that will mean something to him in the future. Because now, to go back to my life, I have to devote my energy to something where pretty much I am the only person in my corner. And that's something where you have to provide yourself with more energy than sometimes you do have. And I don't consider myself an old person in any way, shape, or form. Actually, I was thinking the other day that 18 to 35 is sort of the age range, or 18 to 34 is the age range of young adults. So I'm kind of like at the end of that, and I'm going to go into middle life within a year or two. But I still have something to say. I still have energy to provide to the world, and an energy that I would like to be a part of the world. And in order to do that, I've had to be more of myself than I used to be, at the cost of a lot of my social life, and at the cost of a lot of things that used to be important to me, but not so much anymore. Because as I've grown into this new person that I am, I've become more familiar with this new person that I am, and I like this person that I am now. So I do hope that while you are on your road to be yourself, you arm yourself with patience. You are going to need it for sure. And if you do the work, then you'll probably be a better person down the road for you and for other people.